Russia could have been the first country to join NATO. Recently declassified documents from American archives show that early Russian leaders discussed this possibility with the United States, envisioning an alliance of Russia, the US, and European countries as a tool to strengthen international security. However, decades later, the situation changed. Europe faced the threat of major military conflicts again. Russia never joined NATO, while Central and Eastern European countries became part of the largest military bloc in history. With a population of nearly 1 billion people, military spending in the trillions of dollars, and enormous weapon stockpiles. The question arises, why was NATO created? How did it evolve, and why did the USSR and later Russia try to join it? The idea of including the Soviet Union in the alliance aimed to make it collective, turning it into an instrument of international security rather than an anti-communist bloc. But this did not happen. After World War II, Europe was divided into two camps. The East, controlled by communist countries and the USSR, and the capitalist West, led by the United States. At that time, the North Atlantic Treaty already united several Western countries, but Germany remained divided, and its western part was not yet in NATO. Turkey and Greece were admitted to the alliance, strengthening its presence near Soviet borders. In the East, the Korean War had recently ended, where the USSR and China fought against the US and its allies. Both superpowers rapidly expanded their nuclear arsenals, creating a highly tense situation. The Soviet leadership proposed signing a pan-European collective security agreement and even applied for NATO membership, signaling a desire to participate in collective defense and prevent conflicts. In response, NATO admitted West Germany, while the USSR created its own bloc, the Warsaw Pact. In the following decades, confrontation intensified. The Berlin Crisis, the Cuban Missile Crisis, and other events showed that the USSR could not become part of an alliance originally created as a counter to communism. For the West, the key threat was the Soviet military controlling most of Eastern Europe. British and American leaders developed strategic plans, including offensive and defensive scenarios. The US used the Marshall Plan, providing economic aid to Europe, supported the removal of communists from governments, and limited Soviet influence. This created the Iron Curtain, separating East and West. The USSR saw Eastern Europe as strategic depth for its security, while the US used it to contain the Soviet Union. The development of nuclear weapons, missile deployments, and military exercises on both sides made the region extremely tense. Formally, NATO was created as a defensive alliance, but real power and resources lay with the US-American economic and military strength allowed it to fund the entire bloc, controlling key directions and technologies. The US placed bases and observation points in Europe and Asia, ensuring strategic advantage within the alliance. Each country had a specific role. Czechoslovakia, Poland, Estonia, and others served as points of strategic control and locations for modern military technologies, including cyber defense and emergency response systems. NATO also protected smaller states through Article 5. An attack on one member is considered an attack on the entire bloc. After the USSR collapsed, many former socialist countries themselves sought NATO membership, fearing renewed aggression from Russia. Russia could not influence these processes, and the alliance expanded eastward. The first new members after the original formation were Greece and Turkey, followed by West Germany and later Spain. Eastern European and Baltic countries joined. The main lesson of NATO's history is that the organization ceased to be just a defensive alliance. It became an instrument of American influence, uniting financial, military, and technological resources, protecting U.S. interests and shaping Europe's strategic space. Expansion after the USSR's collapse, despite promises not to expand, was a logical step amid global restructuring and weakening Russian influence. Today, the alliance continues to grow and evolve, relying on the military potential and strategic territories of its members. Each country contributes not only troops but also strategic value, technological capabilities, and economic support. NATO's history shows that it is not only about money and weapons, but about controlling space, infrastructure, and political stability in Europe.